Hi guys, welcome to Forensic Friday, where I tell you one true crime case that was solved using forensic science, all while doing, that's right, my makeup. Today's video will be featuring the Baroque palette from Colourpop. I'm so excited to get into her. This palette is so beautiful, how could I resist? All the other items I'm using in this video will be linked in the description below. Please read the disclaimer. I am in no way, shape, or form a professional makeup artist, beauty guru, MUA, nothing of the sort. I'm just the average girl at home like you, planning makeup and talking about true crime. If you love true crime and makeup, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future episodes. Now this all takes place in 1985 in Limerick, Pennsylvania, just an hour outside of Philadelphia. Most of the people who lived in Limerick were people that were settling down or, wanted to raise a family, had children, or was retired, so it was like a really quiet, nice town. Jimmy and Lisa Mandarick lived there with their 19-month-old daughter, Devin. Now, since Jimmy and Lisa both worked full-time, they used the weekends to relax and bond with the family. On a Sunday afternoon in the spring of 1985, Lisa told her husband that she was gonna go and make a quick run to the grocery store, and she was going to take their baby Devin with them. She even left the baby's diaper bag behind, saying that she wouldn't need it because she was not going to be gone for very long and she was planning on coming right back. They were just going to make a quick stop into the store. And Jimmy just stayed home and watched football. By dinner time, Jimmy says that Lisa and his daughter Devin hadn't returned home. So when Lisa and Devin hadn't returned back by dinner, Jimmy started to panic, and honestly, no one could understand why he was panicking, because they were like, well, it's only been a couple hours. It's not like it's been a full day, so what are you panicking about? Like, no one could really understand it. But he just knew something wasn't right, that something was wrong, because she said, "I'll be right back," and she left the baby's diaper bag. Tom reached out to Lisa's friends and her family, and honestly, Lisa's sister thought that he was overreacting when she spoke with him. She thought that he was like just tripping or something. But then her sister thought about it and she realized it was a Sunday, and she was like, well, where could she have gone on a Sunday that late? She wasn't working, so something was seriously up. They contacted the police, and family and friends told police that Lisa and Jimmy were happily married, that they had no issues. In fact, they would oftentimes check on each other almost like every hour. They seemed attached at the hip, so this was really odd. Just like my face. Just to make sure Lisa hadn't decided to run off with the baby, police checked her belongings, trying to see if any of her luggage or toiletries were missing, thinking maybe she had decided to go off by herself on a trip or something, but surprisingly, they didn't find anything. Jimmy told police that Lisa told him that she was going to a shopping center about 10 miles away from their home. When police arrived, they found Lisa's car parked in the parking lot, and there was no sign of foul play. But Lisa and Devin were nowhere to be found. The grocery store was the only store still open, and family members and friends searched through the entire store. They even asked the store to page Lisa over the intercom. When she didn't answer that page, her sister says that she knew that Lisa was not in that store and something was not right. Later that afternoon, police received some really horrific news. Some hikers in a nearby National Forest park found the body of a naked baby girl. So they were walking down the trail at the base of an embankment, and this embankment was about 50 yards away from the main trail. So the baby's body was found in between the top of the embankment along the main road. The child appeared to have been tossed from the main road into the embankment. She was fully clothed, but there were some bruising around her neck. Now, Jimmy Mandarick was way too distraught to identify the body, so he sent in his brother, who identified the body as Devin's. I just checked all of the footage and realized that I have been out of focus for the majority of the first half of this video, but that's okay. We are back. I have tried to refocus the camera. When Lisa's sister heard the news, she was like, that can't be Devin, because where's Lisa? And then she asked them, well, how did, she die? An autopsy revealed that Devin had been manually strangled to death. Now it's time to go into the palette. I'm so excited. But anyway, back to the story. But investigators found no forensic evidence on the body. They found not a single fiber, DNA, hair, nothing. Something like this was so unusual for this town. Normally, if there was a death of a child there, it was because of, like crimes of passion, or the child was screaming too much and the mom had like postpartum depression, but never like just thrown out on the side of the road like that. This was the first time that police were seeing anything like this in their town. So at this point, police start to look at Jimmy a little bit sideways because they thought it was very, very unusual that he would not go in to look at his daughter to identify the body. However, if you think about it, people do mourn their own way, and I don't know, but I probably wouldn't be able to look at my dead to identify the body of like my dead daughter either. I mean, it's your child. It's a lot different than you identifying the body of your partner or your parents. I mean, it's your child. So I do understand what the police is saying too. It could come off as suspicious, but he could have just also been in mourning. Now, despite the suspicions, Jimmy Mandarick denied any involvement in the death of his daughter Devin or the disappearance of his wife Lisa. As the day ended and night fell, police began to fear that they probably wouldn't find Lisa alive. Jimmy Mandarick claimed that he had been at home watching football on the day that his wife disappeared and his daughter was murdered. Family members and friends say that Lisa and Devin was Jimmy's life, so they really couldn't like fathom that he would have any involvement whatsoever in the disappearance of his wife and the murder of his daughter. They pretty much just felt like he could never do something like that. But we all know that everyone's capable of everything, let's be honest. Friends and family members described Jimmy as distraught. They said he was literally brokenhearted after he found out what had happened to his daughter and his wife. Jimmy said that he gave Devin some cookies and pretzels before she left with Lisa to the store. Police was obviously trying to verify his story, so they did search Lisa's car, and when they searched her car, they found a cookie and some pretzels under one of the seats, so that would corroborate the story that he was telling. This wasn't like, any major thing, but it did help to verify what Jimmy had been telling them. And one of the neighbors said that Jimmy's car was at home all afternoon, which confirmed his alibi. The fact that the car was at the supermarket, police at least knew that Devin and Lisa made it to the parking lot. They just weren't sure if they were abducted at that point, once they got it to the parking lot before they entered the supermarket, or if they were abducted on the way out. They weren't sure, and they were trying to figure that part out. Police learned that a local motorcycle gang had stopped near that supermarket that day. So they thought that Lisa and Devin may have had some sort of contact with this motorcycle gang, and something bad could have happened to them or come of it from that. Girl, I did not think it was gonna be like this. Now, Lisa was a really gorgeous woman. She had really fair, pale skin. She had super dark, long black hair. And her friends and family members joked when describing her as Snow White She was just a very attractive woman, and so it is possible that, you know, this gang may have wanted to kidnap her. Officials had a really intense search for Lisa the day after Devin's body was discovered in the park. This was a 3,500 acre site, so they had bloodhounds, they had cadaver dogs, cadaver dogs, they had helicopters. I mean, they had the works out there combing through every inch of this land. So police went back to the supermarket and they asked customers and employees if they had seen anything suspicious the day before. However, no one recalled seeing Devin or Lisa or any of these supposed members of a motorcycle gang. There were 2 children's stores along this shopping center. Employees at NYX Sost did not recognize any of the photos of Devin or Lisa that the police showed them. But a shopper at Your Kids and Mine says she remembers seeing them inside that store. She says it was around 3:30 on Sunday, right as she was checking out and making her final purchase. Police were able to track that receipt based off of the journal entries on the cash register. They did in fact find that that was the last transaction on the cash register, and they found the timestamp on the receipt. So this told police that Devin and Lisa was at least alive and in that store at that time. Now, Your Kids and Mine was owned by a woman named Ruth Fairley. Her 22-year-old son, Caleb, had been working alone in the store that day, but he denied ever seeing Lisa or Devin in the store that day. He did agree to meet with the detectives to look at photographs of them, but when he arrived to police headquarters, investigators noticed that he was wearing makeup. Now, guys, this was in 1985. Like, it was very strange back then for a man to be wearing makeup. However, in today's age and era, it's pretty normal. So investigators went and got a wet paper towel and asked Caleb to remove the makeup. So according to Caleb, he had been out mosh dancing the night before and somebody had accidentally scratched him in the face. But investigators had discovered that Caleb had told friends something much different. Now, he initially told police that there was a fight that he had to break up. He claimed he had been taking out the trash and there was a fight in the back alley that he had to break up. Why would someone involve themselves in a fight that's not theirs when they don't even know the person or like the people who are fighting, and it's late at night and it's dark and it's in a back alley? Like, so police did a background check on Caleb and they found that he was like a very quiet guy who sung in the church choir. Police found him a little bit nerdy, but at the same time just a touch off, you know. But in 1992 he had been accused of sexual But in 1992, he had been accused of sexual harassment. According to this victim, she was jogging down a road when Caleb pulled up next to her and started yelling out some really like crude, disrespectful things, pretty much telling her what he wanted to do to her. Friends described Caleb as very weird and just a little bit off. They said that he was a peculiar character. They also said that he was a kind of a loner and fascinated with vampires. Am I like the only one besides Caleb that kind of describes? I don't know. So police served a search warrant on Caleb's home and they said that they found all kind of strange, weird, sexually perverted things. They found these sexually perverted comic books. They found like different sort of contraptions and strange weird toys. I mean, really, I cannot judge. They found that he spent most of his time watching pornography. I mean, he's 22. I mean, sounds like the average 22-year-old to me. I mean, that's just me. Friends say that Caleb would oftentimes dress up as a vampire to live out the fantasy of a character depicted on one of his t-shirts. Police did not think that this was that strange and odd. They often find cases like this with murders or serial killers where they would really be into, you know, fantasy games like Dungeons and Dragons, and they thought that maybe this was because of the role-playing. Dungeons and Dragons gave them the same type of feeling as going out and maybe murdering someone. I don't know how, but criminal psychology. That particular t-shirt had a vampire that was ravishing a girl, and the girl looked oddly similar to Lisa. What is the times coming to? I mean, really. Even back then, they was doing that weird stuff. What's happening to people? That's a lot of childhood trauma right there. Although Lisa was a direct stereotype of the type of women that Caleb was attracted to, Caleb denied having any involvement in the disappearance of Lisa or in the death of Devin. But police started to think, was it possible that Caleb had more to hide than those scratches on his face? So there was no sign of struggling in the clothing store where Lisa Mandarich was last seen. But detectives did find some clues. A customer said she saw someone vacuuming the store late Sunday afternoon, just minutes before the store closed. And a local news crew actually reported seeing the same thing the next morning. In the store's vacuum cleaner, police found several long hairs. After sending the hairs to the forensic lab, they found that the hairs had been forcibly removed. But without a body, it was impossible to tell whether the hairs were Lisa's or not. To analyze the carpet, investigators used an ultraviolet light, which causes certain substances like bodily fluids to fluoresce when in contact with the light. They found a few areas in the back part of the store that had some suspicious stains. The stains were saliva, which further tests showed they were from little Devin Mandarich. Oh, that's so sad. What a little freaking pervert that guy was. He's almost more of a pervert than my eyelashes today. So at this point, investigators had no physical evidence that Lisa Mandarich had even been inside of that store. I mean, outside of the eyewitness. Without Lisa Mandarich's body, police had no way of tying Caleb to the crime. So police decided they were going to confront Caleb with the evidence that they found in the store and, you know, kind of blow it up a little bit, made him think that this could potentially get him in trouble. This tactic surprisingly worked. Out of nowhere, Caleb confesses and says that he knows where the body of Lisa Mandarich is. Oh my God, my eyes are redder than the devil's dick. Just saying. Allergies, guys. Allergies. I wish it was substances, but I'm afraid it's allergies. He agreed to lead police to her body as long as they agreed to make a deal with him that they would not seek the death penalty in Lisa's murder. I mean, police at this point was so excited because that was the biggest mistake Caleb could have made, was agreeing to lead police to Lisa's body, because at this point they had no real solid evidence that he had anything to do with Lisa's death. They had no body, they had no blood, they had nothing from Lisa. So given the information that he and his lawyer thought that they had, this would have normally been the right decision for him, except they were wrong. They were kind of just bluffing, and it worked. It worked in their favor. So prosecutors accepted the terms and conditions, and Caleb led police to this dusty industrial place right near the store, out behind back. Ooh, baby, like, hit me with your best shot. You can't. In an overgrown wooded lot next to the gym that Caleb used to go to, police found Lisa's body. Police found Lisa's naked body hidden in a bush. The only piece of clothing item that she had on her was a black lace top, and it was pulled all the way up around her neck. Lisa's body was posed in a sexually suggestive position. She was also found with her hair over her face. This is normal with first-time murderers and perpetrators. They will oftentimes try to conceal the face or the identity of the victim. But it's not clear if he was having sex, if he had raped her before he murdered her, or if he had murdered her first and then raped her. I'm kind of curious about that because it wasn't really explained here. I am almost thinking that if he was into this whole vampire and underworld type of lifestyle, perhaps he may have raped her after he murdered her and not before. I don't know, possibly, maybe that's the reason why he also covered her face, because she was dead when he had raped her. Lisa's hands also showed signs of trauma. Some of her fingernails were broken and others had been completely ripped off. Investigators felt that this was enough probable cause to go ahead and arrest Caleb. The autopsy revealed that Lisa had in fact been manually strangled, just like Devin. Her body was badly bruised, her ribs broken. Tests also showed that Lisa may have been sexually assaulted. Sorry, that is my cat Lucy. She has decided to join us on this case. She is a very highly skilled and trained investigator, so we are happy to have her here with us today. Scientists discovered some foreign fibers on Lisa's blouse. From what they could tell, they were microscopically similar to the fibers found on Caleb's shirt the day of the murder. The hair found in the vacuum cleaner was compared to Lisa's hair, and those were also found to be microscopically similar. Then investigators subjected the biological material found under Lisa's fingernails to a DNA test. That test revealed that the skin found under Lisa's fingernails belonged to that of Caleb Fairley. Caleb Fairley was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder, aggravated assault, theft, and abuse of a corpse. Caleb Fairley pled guilty to the charges but claimed that the murders were not premeditated. But the jury didn't agree. Because it takes so long to strangle someone to death, you pretty much have to cut off the blood flow for about 3 to 4 minutes in order for them to die. That's a long time. This meant that he had plenty of time to stop in the middle of what he was doing and think about it. Obviously, he thought about it and he still carried out. Thanks to forensic science and some good police work, Caleb Fairley was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms in prison. What do you guys think about this case and my makeup look? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you like videos like these, check out my last episode. I will leave it linked on the screen right here. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future episodes. And I will see you guys next Friday with another Forensic Friday episode. Bye!